Welcome back. This is episode 2, Daruma Dojo Dialogues. I have with me Professor Bryan Olague. How are you?
Good, how are you? Thanks for having me, sir.
Hell yeah. So I've known Bryan for how long now?
What was it? 2007, 2008? Something like that?
So if I have to do the math.
I'm Mexican, bro. I'm not good at math.
Oh man, stereotypes. At least 16 years, right? So Bryan, me and we have the same professor where we earned our black belts from.
Professor Ricardo Barros.
Ricardo Barros, and that's how we started training jiu-jitsu together.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
That's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Long time, huh? Been over a decade now. You're getting old.
Yeah, viejitos.
Look, you're getting all white hairs now. You're trying to catch up to me.
So we wanted to chit-chat, talk about multiple things today, but I think one of the cool things that we want to talk about was like the brotherhood through jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
I think your story is really interesting because we've been friends for so long and training partners for so long, and as we both are growing through jiu-jitsu, we still keep together, keep our friendship, keep our brotherhood.
I think that's a big part of it, right? Like having support from each other. That's pretty cool. Having that support, it means a lot. So I appreciate your friendship.
Me too. Likewise, brother. Galan.
Super galan.
So to tell everyone how you got into jiu-jitsu.
Oh man, so this was back in the day when I first met Mr. Juarez over here, Birdie Light.
Oh shit.
Remember the Birdie Light days?
Of course. He still comes out every once in a while.
This guy thinks he's a rapper sometimes, he's got a little wiki.
I must have been on something.
High on life, But now it's back in when we first met through Andrew Dow's, Drew Deasy, one of your old, I believe, high school friends, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me and him went to high school together.
Yeah, so, I moved from Texas, was here around 5 years, from Texas moving to California, 5 years. 5 years later, ended up being roommates with Andrew. And then from there, that's when we met each other, we started hanging out at the house, playing poker. And it was one of the poker tournaments. We went to Robbie O's house. Robbie O.
That was at his house?
It was at his house, yeah.
Oh,
We had a tournament at Andrew's house, right? We did a little poker thing. Then Robbie O was like, we're doing one at my house. So we went to the Robbie O's, and that's when the jiu-jitsu talk happened, I think Alberto was a brown belt back then, purple brown belt. I think you were a brown belt. I think you were brown belt. I don't remember now. It's too long. You see, getting old, memories gone.
Yeah, it was purple or brown. It was at at Ricardo's first location.
Yes.
Before the one on Lone Tree.
Lone Tree, yeah. So off of O'Hara, I believe it was. But anywho's, we did the poker tournament, having fun. And then you're like, "You ever done jiu-jitsu?" And I was like, "Nah."
That was the first day we met, right? Or second day?
It was probably the second day we met.
I think we met. I think I met you once at Andrew's house first.
Yeah, and then Robbie had that little tournament, and you guys invited me over. $20 buy-in. That was a fun night. Then we started talking about it. You're like, "Hey, you ever done jiu-jitsu?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, why don't you try it?" I'm like, I actually tried it like 2 years ago. I went to, I believe it was Crosslease in Brentwood.
Oh wow, you did? I didn't know.
I walked in, and it was like the vibe was not there for me, man. I guess at that time of my life, just didn't sit well for some reason. It was just like the energy in there. I didn't like it. I felt like I was a target, and I was just like, maybe this is not for me.
Did you do a class?
Nah.
Oh, okay.
I walked in, and I just felt like everybody just kind of like, the target on my back, and it was kind of a weird feeling. So I was just like, maybe this is not for me, so. Sure. I took a little break. I just decided, I was like, probably not the right thing. And then you brought it up, probably a year and a half, 2 years later. And then you were teaching the kids classes, and you were teaching there at Professor Ricardo's Academy. You and Kyle Cometa, Super Kyle. Shout out to the Kyle. And then it was back in those days. He had a free week trial, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, tried jiu-jitsu for a week.
Yeah.
I didn't try it for a week. Tried it for one day, and I signed up that day. I got humbled by maybe 12-year-old kid, armbarred the heck out of me, and I said, "Where do I sign?"
So how old were you at the time?
I think I was like 26, 27.
So you were 26 years old. You came into the dojo, and a 12-year-old kicked your ass.
Yeah, and I was a pipe fitter back then, so like, you know, I was like, you know, wrenching pipe, and
I
felt I was strong.
Right,
you know,
right.
The whole time I was like powering up, you know, so just muscling him, and all of a sudden he just stretched the arm out, and I was just like, okay, that was cool. And I'm like, that sucked, but that was kind of cool, you know. So
Yeah.
like, at the end of the class, you know, I remember Kyle was like, oh, he smiled, and he's like, how do you like it? I'm like, where do I sign, man? It's like, you know, I was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And ever since, I haven't stopped. So it brings up like the whole point, right? Like what it takes to become a black belt.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like Ricardo always told us, right? Oh, black belt's a white belt that never gave up. And that's true.
Yes.
You know, just don't give up. Just, you know, it's a goal of mine that I wanted. Now I got it. It's pretty cool. Took a long time, but it doesn't matter.
You didn't give up.
No, everybody has a different journey, right? It's all about the journey. The journey was fun. I learned a lot. Still learning. That's the best part. I feel like a white belt again.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, huh?
Yeah. Our professor always says that jiu-jitsu starts when you get your black belt.
You start practicing it, right? Like, yeah.
So I remember I told one of my students that the other day. I said, jiu-jitsu starts when you're a black belt. And then he said, well, what am I practicing then? Then I was like, oh, that's a smart question. I said, you're practicing pre-jitsu. So I don't know, I thought that was kind of fun. But
Maybe next time tell them, like, you're learning jiu-jitsu right now. When you get your black belt, you start practicing jiu-jitsu.
yeah,
First you learn it, then you practice it.
I like that. That makes sense too. So the story about Moses, who actually is a black belt now.
Yeah.
He was he a white belt then? Or a green belt? Orange, yellow?
Something like that, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, I don't think he was a green belt yet.
Yeah.
But he's a black belt now too. Yeah.
And I've heard so many stories like that. Like when somebody comes in, they're in good shape, you know, they work out at the gym, they lift weights, and then, you know, I think about a friend who tells this story all the time. Like he went in and this woman just tapped him out like multiple times, and he was like, where do I sign up? And so I had the same exact story actually when I was getting into it. I went to a jiu-jitsu gym, and then there was a kid. I was like 18, and there was probably like a 12-year-old kid that tapped me out like 3 times in 5 minutes, and that was the same thing. I was like, I want to do this.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It seems like otherworldly, so it's so different than what you expect. And I think that's interesting too, because you were mentioning like when you first came into your first gym at another location, you didn't feel like
Welcomed almost in a way, right? Like it almost felt like you're an outcast. You know, it felt like a bait. You know, you're like chum on the water. You know?
like the sharks about to attack.
And that time of my life, I feel like it was in the right environment for me. You know, so you know, come from Texas, border town. So you know, over there, you know, we just don't play games like that. So don't like it.
Yeah.
Didn't like it back then, but I'm a little older, a little wiser, so it's better now.
And I'm happy that didn't like steer you away, you know, because like sometimes you get a perspective of something, and then you're like, all right, this is what all gyms must be like. It must be like a bunch of people that just want to beat my ass, and so I feel like is that what jiu-jitsu is? I didn't like it.
Well, for like a year and a half, I felt that like that's what it was until like, you know, we talked about it, you know, and I was like, yeah, you know what, let me give it a shot one more time, you know, and let me actually try it.
Because when you went to the gym, you didn't have a friend or anything there. You just were doing research.
Exactly.
And so when you came in, it was almost like people were a little surprised. Or
who are you? Yeah,
right.
like where are you coming
Get
here?
defensive.
Yeah, a little territorial, you would say, maybe.
Yeah.
I think, you know, that's what it is. It's unfortunate sometimes, but I think a lot of gyms have kind of steered away from that. I think that old school mentality has kind of, I don't know, faded away a little bit. Not really, but yes, in ways, you know. So hopefully that keeps on happening, you know. Doing what you do, you know, you're opening up your academy to a lot of people, a lot of your community and all that. It's pretty cool to see, you know, all kinds of people just trying it out and feeling comfortable. That's really the most important part, making people feel comfortable.
Totally.
Not comfortable, but also having fun, right? It's all about fun. If you're not having fun, then it's not, why do it?
Right.
Know? Like, come get your butt kicked every day and not have fun. It was like,
Yeah.
Like,
you have to have a reason to endure that suffering.
Yeah, suffering it is. Some, there's been definitely some smashes, right? A lot of people don't know what Smash City is.
Can you tell the audience what Smash City is?
Ooh, Smash City. I don't know, man. You guys got to come to get a little taste of Smash City. You got to come to Ricardo Barros Academy, and you know, you get a little taste of Smash City. But basically,
come to Daruma Dojo as well. I'll give you like the suburbs.
Yeah, the suburbs. You know, but Smash City is more like you're alive. And you feel alive, but you also feel like you're about to die, but then you're not dying. Give you a little breathing room, and then all of a sudden you feel like you're, you know, claustrophobic and you just can't do it anymore. And then you say, I can't. And then they tell you, well, you say, I can't breathe. And they're like, well, you're talking, so you're good.
If you could talk,
if
you
could
breathe.
talk, you can breathe. It's like, you know, you know, that's kind of faded away a little bit, you know. It's kind of, it was a good being part of that Smash City, you know. I like to bring it here and there, try to give the little
give them a tour.
you know, like an intro class, you know, it's fun. But yeah, no, I learned a lot, still learning, still getting smashed. So don't give up, guys.
You were born in Mexico City?
Yeah, born in Mexico City, was there till like 4th grade, then moved to South Texas, border town, Laredo, shout out to my Laredo peeps, Laredo, Texas. Grew up there, 4th grade, 5th grade. In between 4th and 5th, moved back and forth from Laredo back to Mexico, but 5th grade and on, all through high school, Texas, Laredo, Texas, grew up there, you know. Yeah, had a good living there, and then back in 2001, 2002, decided I just needed a little life change, and never been to California, and I just decided to buy a plane ticket and move over here. That's what I did.
That's cool.
Yeah, never even visited California. I just said, let's go. And I came, and now what? So what, 2002, 2020, 22 years, 21 years now here. So now I'm, I guess, officially a Californian.
You've been here longer than you were there, right?
Yeah. What was my nickname back in those days?
Texas B.
Texas B.
Texas B from Tejas. So, like, do you think it's a huge, I mean, of course you were younger when you were in Texas, so your perspective is totally different than it is now. But, you know, it seems a lot of people are moving to Texas, especially Jiu-Jitsu. Now they have some of the big schools, B Team and New Wave. And some cities like Austin that are a little more, I don't know, maybe not traditional Texas.
They became not traditional Texas because Austin is like a big college town. So Austin was like we called Austin back in those days like a mini Berkeley. You know, it was a college town and all that. And unfortunately, you know, Austin became more California than Texas now. I would say. You know, I got a couple of friends from Austin. They're like, "What the hell, guys? You know, you stop coming over here, you Californians. You know, bringing the prices of the houses too high." But nah, Texas is cool, man. I like Texas. I like the freedom over there.
Yeah.
Free state, but can't beat the weather over here, man. It's just, you know, I think that's what's kept me here. You know, really what's kept me here was that lady over there that you guys can't see across the camera, but you know, she's my rock. So.
Okay. Well, I want to touch into your rock in a moment. But before we do that, Texas and California, right? So now I feel like they're like some of the biggest states in the United States, and they're getting great jiu-jitsu over there. We have great jiu-jitsu over here. And I remember I've been to Texas a few times, and one of the things that really, really shocked me was the open carry.
Oh man!
Like I would go into restaurants and people have a gun at their waist, and I was very, very shocked. I was uncomfortable.
But you know, a lot of people think that, man. But me growing up, I used to have like my rifle in my rack of my truck, like in the back window. I had a rifle rack, just there. Boom. The thing with that, I think if you notice, if you also when you go there, right, you go to restaurants and all that. Big part of it, you go into a restaurant, you sit down. It's like everybody greets you with more respect. They call you sir, ma'am, you know, all that. You know, it's a little more respectful. And I think it's a little. Part of it is because of that, right? Like, it's like, you know, trying to keep the PG language, but, you know, mess around and find out, you know, the people know that they can't mess with each other too much because, you know, because of the open carry. So
there's a little bit of fear there.
I think it's not fear, it's more respect. It's like, well, you know, I know you can and I can. It's not worth it, right?
Yeah.
It's, so there's a little more mutual respect. You know, I think that's a lot of, in my opinion, that's kind of fallen off a little bit here in the U.S. I would say more here in California, you know, they don't have respect for each other, you know, it's just kind of sad, but, you know.
Some people feel entitled.
Entitled, yes. Oh, man, don't even get me on that. It's another conversation for another day.
Yeah. I totally, that was a huge shock for me. But it was nice to kind of experience something different. Made me think, like what if California had something like that? Then, you know, maybe people wouldn't, you know, have the sense of entitlement, or they would act a different way, for sure.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. I 100% agree with that. But we can't change the people, right? We just change ourselves, and hopefully people could just follow by our example.
Yeah.
So just try to be good for the community or whoever.
Yeah, I was teaching the kids today about community, you know, and so I think that's huge. Is you mentioned something like the BJJ community that in multiple gyms, especially like here at Daruma on Sunday, we have an open mat where anybody from the community can come, and it's a little more open door now. That gyms like to do that, so people can kind of intermingle with other people from other gyms, and not only to like. Get a more sense of community, to meet new people, but it actually helps everybody because now I'm not just training with my same training partners. I get like one day out of the week where people come from all over, and I get to maybe get some different styles that I wouldn't train with on a normal basis. So I think it actually is beneficial for
Absolutely, I agree. It's like, man, it's like when you introduced me to Kiko and all those guys, Koffee Krew, right? Like that was kind of cool. Like for me, I was like, oh man, this is awesome. You know, I was like, because you know, it's cool having your training partners and your day to day and all that to practice everything. I think what happens, you get used to each other's body movements, and you already know what to expect from them. And when you come into like an open mat like yours and Koffee Krew, you're dealing with different people, right? Like you just don't know what to expect. It's almost like tournament style, right? Like it's like it's kind of nice, you know. It's basically helps you sharpen yourself out a little bit, you know. Just I enjoy it. It's fun.
Yeah.
So
then you get to like see how your A game would work on somebody that you don't know. So it's a great tournament training, right? Like doesn't mean you have to go 100% like hard like a tournament, but it's that sense of the unknown when you're going against someone maybe same belt level or a close belt level to you, and you're like, oh, I have to figure in a tournament you have to figure things out as you go. So same thing when you're training with someone you don't know, you have to try to figure out their game as much as you can in the moment, because you can kind of take what you've learned and experiences that you've had and try to apply it in that moment. So it really trains your jiu-jitsu, and I think your brain and your body differently than like you said, your everyday role that you do with your normal training partners.
Yeah, you gotta be quicker, you know, sharper with your decisions, and you figure out some decisions are bad. You know, sometimes you put yourself in bad spots. Like I put myself in like today. You know, you brought me back to my worlds match.
Don't worry, we'll post that one soon on Instagram.
Yeah, you guys probably will. Yeah, I'm sure he will. So, but yeah, you know, it's kind of cool, you know. But like at the end, it makes you really figure out what your flaws are, right? Like it's because we're not perfect, right? Like it's like that's the funny thing is, right? You get your black belt, and a lot of people think like you know everything.
Right.
It's like no, it's not the case. Like man, it's like I wish I did, but you know, it wouldn't be fun if I already knew everything, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
that's what makes it fun. But I'm still learning every day, 1% better every day.
That's so true. Like, and that's a humbling point of view. I like that. And yeah, like as a white belt, you look at a black belt and you're like, man, like they must have it all figured out.
Yeah. It's like no, we don't.
Right.
You know?
And that perspective is good because like now we've come to a point where we've learned enough to realize like that we still don't know anything and we still need to learn every day, 1% better every day because
Absolutely.
man. And I always tell my students that Jiu-Jitsu doesn't give a shit what color your belt yours is.
No.
No.
And actually, I would say the darker the color belt, the bigger the target.
Right.
You know, because like you got these guys, you know, depending, you know, you got these like muscle heads or you got these wrestlers that are super good, right? They're good wrestlers, but they don't know Jiu-Jitsu, but they come at you like with everything that you got, and you're just like, oof, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta like weather the storm, you know. But you know, that's the beauty about Jiu-Jitsu, right? What's the number one thing? It's really meant for self-defense.
Right.
If you keep yourself safe, then sometimes I get smashed. One thing is getting smashed, one thing is getting submitted, right?
Yeah, 100%.
It's like, hey, I got smashed, but hey, I survived. That's really what like. I think that's the main concept of Jiu-Jitsu, right? Being able to survive in a bad situation, no matter what situation you're in. You know, yeah, don't get me wrong, it's fun tapping people out, and it's great.
Yeah.
But if you're able to survive, man, just I'm what. Right now, I'm a little heavy, but 160, 162. But I usually fight at featherweight. I got to drop down to 154 with a gi, so I have to be 148 the day of. That way I make weight. Just imagine, right? I'm 148 and I'm going around rolling with this like 200 plus guys. Like man,
Yeah.
don't feel good, but. If you can survive those, man, it's like, man, anybody can do it, right?
Right.
Women, even the best, right? I've seen women do that. Being able to hold off their own against like grown-ass men, that's pretty cool to see.
That's badass.
It is badass.
Super badass.
Yeah.
Like weight, strength, all these kind of things play a part when you have to defend yourself, right? So if you're able to keep yourself safe against somebody who's twice your size, like if you're able to manipulate their weight to create angles, to fight off your back, or even just to stay on top and have a good balance.
Or even get away from the situation, even better, right? Like just, you're in a bad situation, you fall on your back, you're able to like move or balance them a certain way so you can get out, escape, and be able to walk away from the situation, man. I think that's huge. Nowadays, you don't know, right? Like you said, like in Texas, everybody open carries.
Right.
Well, here, like you don't know who actually has something. At least there,
Yeah.
Here, some just kind of conceal, and you never know. World's crazy nowadays, so.
Yeah, it's always best to
walk away.
Or try to avoid it in the first place, right? Because the best escape from any submission is
not to get there.
But not to get there.
Yeah,
exactly. So I tell my students is early detection is the best way to escape a submission. So if you're in jiu-jitsu and you see something coming a mile away, you're going to be able to defend it before it even happens. And then when you have that mindset, if you're able to apply that into a self-defense situation, you're going to see an altercation coming 10 steps ahead. You're like, all right, like this is not the right spot to be. I can see that guy, the way he's standing, like I'm going to walk this way. Yep. And it's not worth it, especially in our environment, in our community where...
You got to be aware.
Yeah.
I think that's number one thing, right? Being able to be aware of your whole scenario, what's in front of you, what's behind you. Mm-hmm. Don't just walk like a horse with your blinders, think everything's all peaches and cream, which it really isn't. You know, it's not saying the world's out to get you, but you know, you just don't. You just want to be aware.
Totally. And that's, I mean, I imagine that's something that you learned at a young age where you came in Mexico City.
Oh yeah. Well, Mexico, and then more in the border town, man. Border towns are crazy, dude. It's pretty wild. You know, just a different lifestyle over there. It's like, you know, because you grow up too quick. You know, I was doing stuff that 21-year-olds just started doing here. I was doing them when I was 14, 13, you know, going across the border, going to clubs, senior frogs. You know, it's like, you know, it's like, you know, but you grow up too quick. But I don't regret it. It's kind of cool. And just thinking back on, by the time I turned 21, right, it was like going to bars was not my thing. It still isn't, man. I hate going to bars. Man, I'd rather not.
Yeah,
go to a bar. It takes forever to get a drink. Standing there and it's just like crowded and not my scene. Yeah. Getting too old. Getting viejito, man.
Viejito.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning like women training jiu-jitsu as a great way for self-defense, right? And that's how you met your rock.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu, man. Yeah, that's how I met my rock. Yeah, she's over there shaking her head, smiling at the same time. But yeah, it was her mom and I were, remember Kelly?
Yeah, of course.
Minas Guillotine.
You don't get caught in her guillotine.
You don't know why I get caught in guillotine. But yeah, Kelly and I were really good friends for like 3 years before I even met Allie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. You know, it was like, she called me her jiu-jitsu bestie back in those days.
Aww.
I don't think she thinks of me her bestie anymore now that I'm the son-in-law.
Yeah, the dynamics totally changed.
Yeah, it totally changed.
But isn't that a trip? Like when you guys were jiu-jitsu besties, right? And I think this kind of ties into what we're talking about, like the brotherhood through jiu-jitsu, the people that we meet. But you were good friends and besties on the mat, and like, you never know what's going to happen in the future. Like you had no idea.
No clue.
Yeah.
You know, I knew she had daughters, right?
Yeah.
But like I never until one day, you know, she walked into the academy and it was like a little light. Whoa, you know.
Love at first sight?
Love at first sight. So funny. I was talking, it was like...
Are you sure that wasn't just the blood come back to your brain from Kelly's guillotine?
Maybe. It was maybe that. You know, we did just finish rolling that day. I remember clearly. Because back in the day, Sammy used to train. We had just finished rolling.
So this is at the Ricardo's newer location?
The newer location, yeah. We had just finished rolling. We're like on a wall like this, just tired. And, you know, Allie and Kelly walk in. And I was like, okay. He's like, what? He's like, she's going to be my girl one day. He's like, whatever. And then he starts laughing. Whatever, dude. Whatever, dude. Look at that. 13 years later.
That's cool.
We're here, you know.
What was the first date?
First date was kind of like, when they walked in, it was pretty funny. It was on a Saturday. We had just finished training and they were like, oh, what are you guys doing? Anybody want to join us for lunch or whatever? And like, nobody said yeah. I'm like, dude, I was single. I was like, I'll go. Like, you know, I was like,
did you guys go to, was it Cocina Medina?
No, we went to try to go eat some sushi at Okawa.
Okay, yeah, even better.
But Okawa was closed at that time. They weren't open yet. It was too early. So we ended up going to Safeway, bought some sake, and then went back to their house. Hey. Yeah, we were like just chopping it up and, you know, just Kelly there.
Just you three?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
just
nice.
us three. That's what it was, right? Yeah. That was pretty much like the first actual date. It wasn't really a date. It was more like when we got to know each other.
But that's nice because that was, it seemed like a very comfortable and organic kind of hangout and get to know each other.
I kind of pushed myself there, right? When they were asking and they're like, oh, anybody want to join? I think they were kind of kidding.
Yeah.
I just said, hey, why not?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. You got to shoot your shot.
I mean, you see the opportunity, strike when the iron's hot.
Yeah.
Good.
So, here we are now. I think our first day was actual, went to a Mexican restaurant. And maybe in another interview her, tell her about her first meal she prepped me, and we could go from there.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm very happy for you too, that you guys are happy and met because of jiu-jitsu. The jiu-jitsu is the matchmaker. You want to find your partner, maybe that's where you want to go. I don't know.
Maybe not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your wife Ali, I'm friends with Ali, friends with the whole family. But like, you know, when I first started training, she was training. She's still training. So I think that's awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we call her the longest standing white belt.
Yeah, I
Because
think
she was training before me.
She got to at least be a blue belt now.
Oh man, yeah. Well, yeah. We gotta get her trained a little bit more, and she's there.
That's awesome. And then so like with women doing jiu-jitsu, I think you had some ideas that maybe you want to talk about when it comes to like women's self-defense. How do you feel about that? Do you have anything in the works that you like to share maybe?
Yeah, I got some stuff in the works. I think like you said, like I'm trying, follow by your example, right? Like you're a big part of a lot of things that I do, and I've learned a lot from you. And your main thing is being part of the community, right? And I think that's kind of what I want to strive for too. I want to bring jiu-jitsu to the community, and I think I got a little. Hopefully by mid-February, I'm gonna do like a women's only self-defense little seminar back in our hometown or wherever the opportunity strikes. But I do want to set that up pretty soon. I want to do maybe 2 or 3 of those a year. Just open to women. Give them more empowerment, make them feel more comfortable.
Yeah, that's great.
Make them be safe.
Yeah.
There's some weirdos out there. So I think the first one's going to be got a bunch of real estate ladies that don't feel comfortable showing houses by themselves, which I don't blame them, right? Like, just imagine you're showing a house, you're by yourself, and you never know,
Right.
You never know what could happen.
Right.
So what a couple of them that I was talking to them too, what they end up doing is they get a male realtor to help them show the house, but then they lose their commission, part of their commission.
Right.
So it's like, man, just because of their fear, they're losing money.
It's not fair.
It's not fair, Yeah. So like, I think whatever I can do to help them out, and that's not just realtors, right? But like overall, women, children, man too, whatever, But I think that's what I want to focus on, little by little. I want to start like kind of getting some experience doing that stuff. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll help me grow myself, so.
That's a great idea. Yeah. And then we have like a women's open mat here. We're planning on doing some women self-defense classes here as well, the dojo. So I think maybe we should, you got your thing going on with the real estate, but one of the other ones, you can do it here if you want. You could do like
awesome. That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd
do
be
women's
awesome.
self-defense here. We can promote it and try to get as many of the women in the community to come do the class.
Yeah, to come do the class, man, like how I'm just learn basics, like just basics at least for them to just feel better, and then, maybe they'll get the itch.
Yeah, that's like, always the hope when you teach a seminar is that
they stick with it, and it's hard. Like jiu-jitsu is hard, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. It still is, right? Like jiu-jitsu is not easy. Just so you guys know, it's not easy. That's why we don't give up. Jiu-jitsu is hard, man. It's hard as hell. It's mentally, physically, emotionally. Everything about it is tough. But with all that toughness, man, it makes you just a better person. Because it makes you realize what you can endure, right? Like if you could endure this. Yeah. Man, you could endure anything in the world. That's how I see it.
I agree.
Everything else is just minimal. It's just kind of like whispers. Yeah, jiu-jitsu is in your face, humbles you.
Yeah.
It really shows you. It pushes you, right? Shows you who you are.
Yeah. There's no lying in jiu-jitsu. Like when you're training, and it really puts you face to face with yourself.
Yourself. Yeah. Yeah, that's really what it is. Because it's easy to give up, right? Real easy. You get tired and tap because you're tired. Like, okay, well.
Then you go home and you're like, you know what, man? I could have.
Maybe I could have just.
I could have kept training. I was being a little wimp. I was scared.
Yeah,
I was scared because I'm tired, and then if I keep training, then I'm gonna get my butt whooped. And I was afraid to get my butt whooped or to have to like. Put my ego aside or deal with my ego.
Ego is the biggest thing, man. Yeah. It's like, it's kind of cliche, right? Everybody talks about it, like, oh, you gotta let go of your ego, but you really do. It's like, man, there's no space for ego in this mats. You know, of course there is a little ego, there always is. But if you focus on your ego and all that, you're never gonna make yourself better. You know, it's just kind of, you're gonna stay at one level.
It just gets in the way.
It does get in the way. You just gotta let it go, man. It's like, who cares? You know, even as a black belt, right? Like, you get this blue belt, purple belts coming in at you, you're coming in hot. Yeah, and like now, what jiu-jitsu is a little more well known, so a lot of people are more attuned to jiu-jitsu. It's not like back in the day, like, you know, you still got your freshies that don't know anything, but then you got guys that, some blue belts that are killers, man, you know, there's some killers out there, you know, even bringing up purple belts too, but it's like, man, it's like, it's okay to tap.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is, you know, like live another day. When I get injured.
Yeah. If I get tapped by a blue belt or a purple belt, I have to tap them 10 times till I feel better about myself.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, you have to come in hot after that. But that's on you, right? Because you let them get there, right? Like, what's the best defense?
Not prevention.
Prevention.
Yeah.
You know, so you didn't prevent it. So, you know, it's like sometimes we put ourselves in a bad spot to like try to get out of it and like learn to get out of stuff. But then sometimes it's like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. Not with this guy.
Well, if you're playing that game to like, if you're playing working your defense against certain people, like you have to be ready to submit.
Yeah.
Because like I said earlier, jiu-jitsu doesn't give a shit. If this white belt grabs your arm and they extend your arm with a good technique, you're gonna pop your arm. Or if they grab in your neck and they choke you, you're gonna pass out. It doesn't matter if right. So if you put yourself there for whatever reason and you're there, you're gonna have to be ready to tap.
Yeah. There's no shame in tapping. Live to fight another day.
Yeah.
I've tapped so many times. I still do.
Yeah, me too.
There's no avoiding it. That's just part of the game.
I think one of the especially when you're doing your women's self-defense seminar, is going to be great for you to promote Last Kings Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh yeah. I just decided to start this journey. July, August of last year. Just was sitting in bed one day, and I was just talking to the wife. You know, we were ready to go to sleep, and I was like, you know, I think I want to start my own thing. You know, my own brand. And she's like, what do you mean your own brand? I'm like, something related to jiu-jitsu. And she's like, what are you gonna name it? I have no clue. You know, and it was like thinking of names, and you know, Last Kings kind of popped in my head, and I started doing the little logo that night. I think I sent it to you like a couple weeks later. I was like, what do you think about this logo? You know, I was like, you've seen like the transitions, you know, from what it is now.
That was fun.
It was fun. It was actually really fun going through it. It's been fun. The process has been fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess Last King's coming soon. You'll be able to get some merch, some swag.
Yeah, swag-tastic.
Yeah, we're getting some swag. Gis are coming in, rash guards, sweatshirts, no-gi shorts, t-shirts.
Chones, calcetines.
Yeah, calcetines, yeah. I was thinking of making some slides too, you know, but we'll see how it goes. I'm trying to keep it, you know, I'm trying to grow organically. But, you know, it's not just like apparel. I want to just going to promote like some online fitness programs to better jiu-jitsu, you know, just strength and conditioning stuff, you know, some jiu-jitsu based concepts. We'll probably have 2 different type of workouts just for your regular practitioner. Then I'll have like a tournament, get ready for tournament style, you know, a little more higher level, more intense training, maybe include some diet plans and stuff like that. So that's coming in the works too. I'm working on that right now.
That's great.
So yeah, man, things are starting to line up. It seems like a slow process, but you know, just decided to really, you know, I went and I started really like in a good, like when I designed the logo and all that, I was super excited, super stoked. Everything was coming out, you know, everything was moving pretty quick. Then things like slowed down a little bit, you know. It was like, I think like December, things slowed down for me, you know. I started questioning myself a little bit, questioning, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
Whoa, it's like, what am I doing? What am I really doing with this? You know, what's my intention behind this? And had to take a step back and really focus on what I wanted, and now I know what I want. So,
what is your intention behind it?
My intention is just to basically share knowledge, man. Empower everybody to become a better person. You know, just be able to accomplish what you call kingship, right? Like, you know, just be the best you can be of yourself, the best version of yourself. So, I think that's really the main goal at the end. Just empower everybody, empower the community, people, friends, family, myself, you know, included, you know, just to achieve that goal, whatever that goal is. Anybody could reach any goal that you put your mind to. Just don't give up on it. So I think it's a very true statement. As long as, what do you say? You don't see the final product, right? You don't look towards the final product. You look at the brick by brick, the bridges. You're building the bridge to get to that final. You got to focus on each brick. You know, whether it's 1,000 bricks, 1,000,000 bricks, 10 bricks, whatever it is. Just focus on each brick, get a good foundation for it, and make sure everything works out. You know, and eventually the goal will happen. So
that makes a lot of sense.
I think so.
And that kind of ties into, I think, like what Last Kings represents, right? Because you want to empower everybody, and then you want to be a better version of yourself, so you can envision yourself becoming the king of your lifetime, or you are a leader and you're helping other people, right?
Yeah. So two of my slogans, right? One, the main one: kings are made from ordinary men. First king, the last king, right? Like that's where like Last Kings really came. Why Last Kings, right? Like, well, think about it. The last king, the true king, was an ordinary person that just became a king, you know? He just worked hard, helped his community, helped township, whatever it was back in those days, but he was an ordinary person that accomplished that, you know, and he got respected by his community. He didn't call himself a king or queen, you know, like, his community, you know, he did so much for the community, you know, that he just became a leader. And the other quote is, leader builds leaders, you know? That's so there's a shirt coming with that too.
Leaders builds leaders.
Yeah. Nice. So, yeah, man, it's, I think it's true. I've lived by those words. Those were two of my little things, and sticking by it, you know, I like it, you know, just puts me in a good mindset.
Nice.
Helps me accomplish my own goals. So.
Hell yeah.
Try to lead by example, you know?
That's it. I'm excited to see what Last Kings is going to bring in the near future.
Yeah, me
I can't
too.
wait.
Yeah, me neither, man.
Yeah,
I'm excited. We'll see.
Oh, is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, man. We could sit here and talk all
forever,
day. Yeah. You know,
but I think we ended on a good note, because Last Kings, Professor Bryan Olague, I mean, I can imagine, and I already can envision, just something amazing is gonna come up in the next couple of years, maybe sooner.
Maybe sooner. You never know. You know.
Just, I can't wait to see it. I'm excited to be a part of it, and I'm grateful for our brotherhood, and I want to be there. You know, help you lay those bricks.
Oh, hell yeah, man. No, you're a big part of it, man. You've been a big inspiration and everything, man. Just seeing from you starting Daruma Dojo, right? Like, man, I remember when you told me you were, hey, I'm opening up my academy. I'm like, oh, heck yeah. You know, I was like super stoked for you, man. I was like, and I see how you're growing, what you're doing with everybody, with your community, how you're growing with yourself. And it's pretty amazing, you know. Gives me lights a little fire under my, you're a good example, you know.
Thanks,
so I appreciate your friendship and your support all the time, brother.
Likewise. Love you, brother.
Love you too, brother. Super galan over here.
All right. Catch you next time. Bryan Olague, Last Kings, Daruma Dojo Dialogues.